Now, in today's video, I'm going to share with you how you can expand your business by using the Commarker Titan MOPA laser engraver. And this is going to really focus on metal engraving. You're going to be able to make amazing things like this. Check this out. This was done in seconds. Or focus on higher end jewelry that could look like this. Check that out right there. Right. And then lastly, or not last, because there's a lot to share today. The cool thing about this is that it can engrave color on the metal. Check that out. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at all of its features. We're going to see it in action. I'm going to share with you all of my settings, everything that you need in order to reproduce what I've created. And there's a lot of jewelry because I'm focusing on jewelry in this video. Chains, pendants, a lot of cool stuff that's going to expand or take your business to the next level. So let's get right to it. Now we're taking a look at the Commarker Titan, and this is a 100-watt Mopa laser. And it comes in actually three different configurations. You can get one that is 60 watts, one that is 100 watts, or one that is 200 watts. The version that we reviewed was the 100-watt version. Now, Mopa lasers are a different type of lasers. We've talked a lot about different type of technologies on the channel, and this one in particular focuses on metal engraving. We have looked at the Commarker Omni, and the Omni is actually a UV laser. We've also looked at standard lasers, right? And now we're looking at a MOPA laser. Now, the MOPA lasers have some really unique features. So let's talk about a little bit about the specs. And again, we'll talk about the type of materials in a second that's going to be engraving. But for now, we're looking at things like the dot size. So how much definition are you going to be able to get out of an engraving? And I'm happy to say that this is going to give you high resolution engravings on metal and other materials. We're talking up to 8K quality. That is a dot size of 0.01. And again, that's going to give you, again, very precise engravings. And you're going to see how clean the engravings are that I have here. Now, in addition to that, it does have an electric lift. And that basically means that the laser head can actually go up and can go down by simply pushing a button. And that's really convenient because if you are changing, and guess what? You're going to have to use that lift regularly. Like when you're changing materials, going from one piece of material to another piece of material, everything is about the focus. And this is going to allow you to adjust that focus. But don't worry, it also has manual focus capabilities or lifts where you'll be able to crank the dial manually. But I have to tell you, most of the times I'm using the electric lift. It's fast and it's convenient. Talking about speed, this machine, this laser is fast, 15,000 millimeters per second fast. That is fast. So at the top of the level, depending on the type of material that you're engraving, you could go really fast. In addition to that, you also have a large engrave area. The work area is pretty massive in size. Now, depending again on the lens that you have, you could get up to a maximum of 300 by 300 millimeters from a work area. That's pretty significant. That's going to allow you to cover some very large metal pieces. And this machine has been developed to be a heavy duty machine. So it has been regulated and tested and has this cold front thermal technology that allows you to run it, they claim, up to 24 hours. And that is, again, laser engraving. Now, there are items that you would be engraving that are going to take a long time. Like if you look at the Challenger coins where they have like the embossed engraving, those take hours to make. So having a machine that has been tested that can run for 24 hours straight is important when you're talking about deep engraving. Most of the jewelry things that I did here take seconds, right? And that's what I'm looking for. I look at something that can engrave quickly, minutes at most, and then I can turn around a product. Now, how long will this laser last? This is pretty spectacular. We're talking about 100,000 hours. And you may be thinking about what does that mean for me as a business? Well, it means over 4,000 days. That is significant. So this is going to be something that's going to, again, elevate your business, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for multiple years. And again, it's been constructed in a way that's going to give you a heavy duty, long-term experience. The lenses that you get, you actually get two lenses with the unit, a 110 and a 200. I'm testing with the 110. And also you can get, for that maximum engraving area, you can get a lens that would be able to support, 300 millimeter area. Now, the cool thing about this, and the reason why you can shift between all these lenses, because of how powerful this laser is. Typically, as you go with a larger lens, the power of the laser diminishes. But because we're testing a 100-watt version, this thing is going to be able to engrave and take advantage of those larger lens sizes. Now, you could also, if you're into engraving, let's say tumblers, Stanley mugs, you can do that as well with this laser. But in this case, I'm really focusing on jewelry and some other things that you'll be able to get out really quickly. So let me share with you my samples, then we'll go take a look at the laser. I'm also going to share with you, as we go through each one of those samples, the settings that you need in order to create what I created. Let's go ahead and check them out. Now, you're going to be able to engrave a lot of different material, but our focus right now are on the materials here. So this product is going to be able to engrave silver, gold, steel. Now think about titanium. All those metals, this thing has got you covered. It also has other materials. You're going to be able to do slate for coasters. You're going to be able to work on acrylic, as you see here. You can work on leather as well. So this is going to give you a lot of flexibility. And let's start taking a look at some of the things that we can engrave. First of all, you could do leather, and I'm still tweaking the leathers. You can see here, here's my leather sample, and I could go a little bit more deeper, but this is a leather that has I would say a glue surface in the back, and I was really trying to make sure that I didn't go so hot or so deep where I activated the glue or burnt right through it. But this is a very clean engrave. I have very little tweaking that I have to do in order to get the best engrave I want out of this guy. The other thing we did was acrylic, and oh my God, can this thing do acrylic nicely. And you'll notice that I have my jigs, and I'm going to include links to the jigs in the description area. This is a 3.5 piece of acrylic, and this took, again, seconds to make, and look at how gorgeous this looks. This is pretty spectacular. Take a look at that. That looks really good. This right here was again, it did a couple passes and gave me this, which means that not only will you be able to do kind of words like this, but you'll also be able to do pictures if that's something that you're into. Now, in addition to doing the acrylic, obviously you could do metal, and we're going to go into the metal, but before we do that, I want to show you also stone. Let's see if that will show up there on camera. Basically what I did is I engraved the stone, and I did a couple of tests. This was my favorite finish that I got. And when you work with stone, think about memorial stones. When a loved one passes away, think about when a pet passes away. We get a lot of requests for memorial stones, and this just took seconds to do with the power of that laser. So those settings, and you'll see that engraving take place when we go into a little bit more detail when we show off the laser. Now, in addition to that, we have slate, and here's another jig that was holding the slate, and then this again was done on the laser. I'm still working out, tweaking out the settings to really maximize that speed and get quality engraved. So you'll see that there's some areas that are uneven with the laser where I'm going to be modifying my focus and then also changing my settings, but you could do slate as well. Now, over here, now we're getting into the metal. And you could do a lot of things. I just want to show you, you could do a lot of color. And you can see this is what the color looks like. And this takes some time to figure out. There are a lot of settings that you have to go through when it comes to frequency, when it comes to pulse, when it comes to power, speed, and interval. Those are the things that you'll be modifying to get your colors, but once you start finding the right colors, you notice I have black, I have blue, I have orange, I have yellow, I have pink, I have different versions of blue. And once you get a pattern like this or a specific color, then it's all about chasing that color. So once you get, like, let's say this blue, you can work with this pulse, this frequency, this speed, and this interval, and then do a material test to expand it to get more versions of blue so you can see what you can get. But you can see that, you know, there is a lot of potential when it comes to color engraving. Now, I will say that color engraving is not fast in any way, right? To get the color, it takes time on the machine, and it's not going to be the fastest type of engrave. So be thoughtful about where do you want to use this in your business. Moving this aside, you'll notice here I did something that I thought was kind of fun, create something Commarker today. And basically this is, again, leveraging those colors. This is stainless steel. I think this is 304 is the type of steel this is. And you can see what it did right there. There's some really shiny, nice little colors there that I put in there in the company name. And I thought that this came out pretty good. I'm going to be improving this and perfecting this as I go along. We also then did black dog tags, and black dog tags, these are super easy and fun to make. So you can see how nice this one looks, got some really nice white marking, and it's also nice and deep. We did jewelry. So here's a piece of jewelry. This is a actual pendant, right, bar pendant, and this is where this machine actually excels, and that's going to be in the metal side. And really for jewelry, this is it. This is going to get you some really, look at how deep and black that is. And I really, really like how that came out. We did some other pieces. This is a stainless steel dog tag, and look at that. This is really, let me see if I can get it in a good angle so that you guys can see that. I put it here in the front facing camera that you can see. There you go, at that angle. So you can see this is a really high finish, glossy finish when it comes to metal. And the interesting thing here is, and this is what is so important, there is no treatment, there's no spray, there's nothing that was done here. This is literally the laser interacting with the metal and then creating these beautiful pieces of jewelry. We also then did this. So this is, for example, this is for a planter. So if you want to be able to, let's say, indicate the type of plant or vegetable that you have. So here you would do that. And what I did here is, again, use that same little quote that I made, create something Commarker today. And you can see how that looked right there. And again, this is not going to come off, right? And what I like about this is I did an anneal setting on this. So it didn't burn the metal deeply. It discolored the metal on the top. And what that means is that when I go over with this with my finger, right, and I'll put it right here so you can see this even better at an angle so that it can focus. There you go. So when you look at this right here, it is not going to rust, right? And it won't rust because it didn't deeply engrave in the metal. So I was going for that type of finish. And when you see the video, you'll have all the settings as well. Here is another piece right here. And a lot of these get fingerprints. Let's wipe this off a little bit so you can see it's nice and shiny. And you can again see this right here. It is, again, really nice piece. This one is also an anneal, so I didn't want to go really deep in it, especially when you're working with jewelry. I find that if you go too deep and you engrave, it can get caught on clothes. So I wanted something that was surface. So this is, again, is another anneal mark, top mark, so you're not going to be able to worry about it getting rusty or if it gets wet. That's great. Here's another cool one that we did, and look at the colors we got on this one. This is sharp. So again, this is another heart, this is another pendant, but this, even using the exact same settings I used for that other one, just looks a little bit different. There we go. Look at how that pops out. And that's just the interaction of the laser with the actual metal that we have. I have another one here, and then this is a stainless steel. You can see it right here. It says it's stainless steel, and the steel type is 316. Nope, that's actually the length. It's just 316. All right. So it is stainless steel, and then what you can see right here is, again, the name Hope was engraved in this, right? So that came out really nice, and again, that took just seconds. We also then did fun stuff like dog tags, and this is a good business. So you'll notice how nice and white these came out. I was doing some testing here, and you notice I was doing this test. I wanted to see if I did a single pass, and then what would it look like if I did a crosshatch. And this, you'll notice the PPER is the crosshatch, and this is the single pass right here, right? So you can see that you can get the brighter white when you do that crosshatch. I also then did these right here. These are kind of fancier, and I was testing different settings to see what kind of color I'd get. Each metal is going to be different, and each metal is composition is going to be different. So you'll need to do a lot of testing. So here I wasn't able to get black, but I did get this bright kind of. It's almost like a beige. It's not quite white, but it's not quite brown either. So you notice how that pops. I first was getting these right here. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And again, this is about metal. So let's go ahead and take a look at the laser, and then I'll show you some of the settings. Well, I'll show you all the settings for all the projects that we created. Everything that's black is using the same black settings. Anything that's color is using the same color settings. What's unique is going to be your acrylic, your stone, and then also your slate. But you'll notice that there's going to be some common things going on with the settings, and I hope this is going to help you if you pick up this laser. Now, the components of the Titan are pretty straightforward. You have the tower here, and this is basically going to have your up and down. So if I push this, you'll see the laser will go up and will go down. And we'll talk about the focus points in a couple seconds. This is something that you would not want to have tucked underneath the desk, because what you'll end up doing is going under the desk every single time you want to change your focus up and down. Now, it does have a manual way to adjust the focus, so if you want to be able to crank it manually, you can do that, but I prefer going with the digital version that you see here.
It does have a key mechanism that's going to allow you to lock down the laser from being used. This is the power button, and then here what you have is an emergency stop button. So if, let's say, the material catches on fire and you want to be able to stop it quickly, you just push that button and you'll be able to get things going. What I tend to do, what I like doing is I leave, if I'm going to be working on the unit and I'm going to walk away, I'll push this power button off, this emergency stop, and then when I come back, I'll just twist it and pop it, and then I'm set to go. I don't go through the whole power up. It's just a preference of mine. The case itself, I love the color. It's just a really good looking color for me. I love gray. I'm a gray and black guy, so that works out really well. Now, in addition to having the actual tower, and we'll go through the actual laser itself, the MOPA laser, and all the other components, you do get some accessories. And one of the accessories that you'll receive is this right here. So this is a foot pedal. And the foot pedal gets connected in the back, and you're going to see all of the different connections that we have in the back. But the way this works is that if you're, let's say, running a batch and you're doing 100 of something, 25 of something, more than one of something, and you want to be able to not have to go to your PC and restart the engraving or the marking, all you do is you step on this or push this, and it's going to do it. That's what this is all about. You will notice that the controller here does have some handles, which makes it easy to move around. But I find that once you have it set up, you really don't have to move it. And you can see in my setting here, it's set up in one place, and I probably won't move it. Now, on the side of your laser, you're going to have a predefined focus point based on the lens that you have. So here, for example, on mine, it says that my focus point is 280 millimeters. That is 280 millimeters from this line that you see here. So if you have one of these metal rulers, and these rulers are basically set in millimeters, what you'd be doing is you'd take this ruler that you see here, you'd put it here, and then you'd be measuring from the material on the bottom that's touching the bed all the way up to this line point, 288 millimeters. Now, that's a manual way to do it, and that's something that you could do just to make sure that you're hitting that focus point. But you also have these two laser dots, and these two laser dots came very well calibrated for us. And this is one thing I wanted to highlight. This product came ready to use. There was no work that we had to do. It just literally, I put it together and the focus was on par. Everything was aligned. I didn't have to do any work. And I have worked with other lasers where as I unbox them, I have to do some calibration. And even though I went through my calibration exercises, I found that my calibration exercises were more a double check than anything else. Everything was aligned perfectly. Now, on the top of the laser, let's go ahead and see what we have going on here. We do have this is your focus button. You'll notice down here that you have these two dots that are here. Let's see if you can get those in focus right there. And if I press this, you'll notice how they disappeared. I'm gonna turn this on and you'll see how they reappear. So these points right here are what you'll be using to focus your material on. So if I raise this or lower it, you notice how the dots come together. That means that it's focused. So depending on the material, let's say, for example, I'm working with some stainless, put the stainless steel right there. And if those dots weren't joined, then I would not be in focus. Right now, the other option I could do is I could actually place the actual ruler to this point and see what's going on. Now, you're also going to notice that I have here this placeholder. This is a jig holder. And everything that we do when we do laser engraving, we typically use a jig because notice that there's a lot of different holes here and you can place your material in many places. We like repeatability, we like speed. So in order to do that, we leverage a jig. And basically, most of the materials that we engrave are this size, right? And what we like doing is just being able to put the material in, and in Lightburn, we have our templates ready, and we're good to go when we do this. Let me show you how that works. Now, one of the materials that you saw us engrave in the review is the actual coasters. So a slate coaster, if I want to review, or let's say engrave 50 of these and I want to do it really quickly, what I can do is I have this jig right here that just slides into place, and I can place 1, 2, 3. All I have to do is swap them out. So this is a really quick way for me to work with this material. You also saw me do dog tags. And with the dog tags, same thing here. I have my dog tags in here. All I have to do is slide this in. I have my Lightburn template is already set to this, and I can just get these done really quickly. And what I like about this is I can take this out and I can flip this over and I can reload the tray. Or if I have multiple trays that already have these preloaded, all I'm doing is swapping them. And then I'm using, again, our foot pedal, like the one that we have right here, to be able to kick off that job over and over again. So this is another part of our jig system that has been designed for the Commarker line. You'll notice that I have another one right here. This is another dog tag style, and this is kind of like a ritzy one. And same thing here. I just swap it out. These are different sizes, but I have my templates in Lightburn that allow me to basically use it really quickly. And we also did acrylic, right? So I have acrylic, and we do acrylic is typically done in regular sizes. So this is a jig that's seen a lot of use because you could see some of the marks that I already have on it. But this is a jig that will do a 3.5 and a 4-inch size acrylic, cork, or any other type of material, right? And again, the whole point is that I can slide it in. I have my templates done, and I'm able to engrave. And this is also the material that we used here. So the whole point is that this bed, not only does it allow you to tie down and align things with the actual bars that they include in the screws, but if you use a jig system, what you're going to be able to do is get more, I would say, productivity and workflow out of your system. And if you can do things faster and more repeatable, that's going to increase your profit. That's the name of the game. Get it done fast, get it done the same every single time. And you want, like when we did it, these right here, you want every single item that's in this jig or in this jig to be aligned in the same place. It kind of communicates professionalism, and it shows that you are creating some really good, consistent products. So, you get your foot switch as we talked about. We saw that. You also then have some additional accessories that you can work with. There's cables, there's USB. You also get some glasses, and the glasses are really important because this is an open style laser, which means that there isn't a lot of protection going on. Matter of fact, there is no protection outside of the glasses that you're wearing when you're lasering. So it's important. I have some glasses that I already have, but let me just show you the ones that come with it. So if we open this up, you'll notice that here you have your glasses. They're in a nice, and these are really nice, right? So they come with a cleaning cloth. And what I tend to do is I put these with the laser. So I have a little kind of like laser accessory holder that I print for all of my lasers, and that way I can connect my glasses right here on the side of the laser, and I'm never misplacing them. But I like that Commarker actually gives you those so that you don't have to misplace them. Now, one thing that I didn't pay attention to throughout this process was making sure that my cover was off when I fired the laser. So one day, as I was doing some testing, I hit the wrong button, not the frame button, but the fire button, and this is what happens. Don't do this. This is not good. So I learned my lesson, and I'll tell you, I've been learning my lesson for quite some time. Just be aware of that because that can happen to you too, and you don't want that to happen. I have another cover that we have that we will use to cover this laser. It's good to do that to avoid any kind of dust particles or dirt happening there. And I just like a really tidy work area, and that cover helps with that. Now, when you're raising and lowering the laser, you'll notice that this is the manual riser that you could use to either elevate the laser head or lower the laser head. So I'm using the buttons, and you saw how fast that moves. But if you needed to, you could dial it in, and literally it becomes a dial. You're dialing it in up or you're dialing it down to get to the point that you want. And that may be something that you do quite often. When you look at it, it's like, why would I ever use that? But when you're working with, let's say, gold, silver, stainless steel, you at times will defocus the laser, and you may want to bring it up a millimeter, 2 millimeters. And doing this, you can miss it, right? It's not as precise as me raising it up a little bit, doing one of these, tweaking it slightly to get the defocus I want. And you'll notice here that there's a ruler here. So as you're moving this up, you can actually see where it's going up or down. So it becomes something that's really, really precise. I keep a lot of notes. I keep a material library, and I make sure that I know, do I have to go up? Do I have to go down to get the kind of marking I want? Now, on the back of the laser, you do have some componentry or ports that you're going to be using. This cable, for example, is the cable that allows you to power and control the rising and lowering of your laser. You then have another one here that is for a rotary, right? You then also have another one right there that is for your enclosure, right? So there isn't an enclosure yet available. I asked Commarker if there was one available. There's going to be one coming for it. But what you could do is plug the enclosure into it. And the neat thing about it is that there's a lot of safety features that will come with that enclosure. If doors open, it will know. If there's a fan, there's an extractor, all those cool things are going to be there, right? So I love the fact that it has that. Then you could see here that there is a port here for your pedal, right? That's where you would connect your pedal. You have your USB connector right here. So this is your standard USB that comes out. And what I do is I normally use a converter to convert it to a USB-C because I use a MacBook Pro with Lightburn. But this is something that you could be able to modify. And then here what you have is your fiber cable, right? That's going from the actual box over to your laser. The key thing here is make sure this isn't bent, it's not kinked. I'm just letting it free flow, right? So it's just free flowing there, and you'll be fine. If you wanted to put this on the floor, just remember you'll have to bend over if you want to be able to use that adjustment of rising or lowering it. But the footprint here is pretty straightforward and simple. Now let's take a look at some of the materials that we've engraved. We've done a lot of engraving. One of the things that you'll see that when you're dealing with the MOPA laser, you're dealing with a lot of metal. But you could do more than just metal. You could also do some leather goods. You could do stone. It does stone really well, as you saw some of those stone pieces that I shared with you. And then also it could do acrylic. And really this, because of the power, the 100-watt power, this thing can really, I don't want to say cook, but it could get through materials really quickly. So if you're a jewelry maker and you want to be able to cut copper, stainless steel, you know, this is the type of machine that can do it. If you want to make Challenger coins, this is the machine that can do it, and you're not going to be spending 5 hours getting a coin. So here is, you know, one of the products that we've, you know, the slate that we engraved. Slates are pretty popular. Slates, you know, high profit margin with these as well. And as you can see here, these are the settings that I used to create the slate. And this worked out really well. I could probably tweak this even more. I like my slates to have a brighter white. So all you have to do is using their material libraries as a starting point, continue to tweak until you get the actual settings that you'd like. So a material test is going to be essential. The other thing that we did here, and this really worked really nicely, this is probably one of my favorite pieces, is acrylic. This is an acrylic beast when it comes to marking. And you could see here how crispy and how beautiful this came out. Really, really love it. And again, you could do this. Black acrylic is just my favorite when it comes to engraving like this or marking. And this is really smooth. You can see how that material looks right there, right? So love the way that looked. And you can see what my settings are right there. So this worked out really well. Dog tags, right? Dog tags are another popular thing. These are easy and these are very popular. We do a lot of dog tags, and you can see how bright white these dog tags came out to be. Really like it. Over here, I did a second pass. So this is a single pass right here. And you notice that it came out white. And then here, I was doing a crosshatch as well, just to see if I can get them brighter. And you can see the difference between this one and this one. This is a really bright white, and this is kind of like still a white, but not as super bright as this. The only thing I did here was not just I did the first path, but then I did a cross path, and then that's the kind of white I got. So absolutely love that. Now these are our fancy dog tags. And with the fancy dog tags, I was doing a lot of testing on here, just trying to get some of the colors to work out. You'll notice how I'm getting like a copper color, I'm getting a bright white color. This dog tag, while a lot of people like getting black on their dog tags, especially on the stainless, because people are kind of used to that, what I find is that this is probably the preferred color when someone actually sees one done, because the black is really difficult to see, and especially when you have a high gloss product like this or a high sheen product. So what I find is that most people want this color. You notice how I have another color over there, but notice how nice that color looks right there. This is the color that people typically choose when it comes to the material. This is, again, just another, you know, material test that I was doing on this color, just trying to see what if I could get a different color out of there. But this is typically what I see as the most popular. Now the other material that I'm working through, and you'll see my settings as well, is leather. And leather has been a little bit tricky for me with this laser. The settings provided by Commarker aren't really spot on for me, so I've been doing some tweaking. But leather is possible, and I've gotten, you know, with MOPA-based lasers, good leather, I would say, results. And this one, great resolution. I just need to get a little bit deeper, and I need to get more detail out of it without burning it. So I'm happy with this one because I didn't burn through, and that was really important. So this is I would say a pressable patch where you can engrave it, and then you notice that it has already the actual sticky glue stuff on the back. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to put too much power on it where it actually burns through it or melts the actual adhesive on the back. So this is a really nice balance. I have very little to go to get the actual settings I want. So just want to show you that leather is also possible. Now, one other thing we did is obviously our popular product, especially for St. Patty's Day, are these beer openers. So this, you'll notice how nice that came out. Look at the detail that's there. Really, really nice. And this is more of a anneal based type mark. It's not deep. It did not go into the metal. It just, with the actual process of the laser, just changed the color of the metal and drew this color out. That's beautiful. Now our settings for this are there on screen. So those of you who are picking up this MOPA will have black settings for this as well. Now another setting that, or another thing that we did, and which I really like doing too, are these rocks. And we actually do quite a few of these. Let's make sure that this is in focus so you can see what's going on here. There it is. Basically, this is powering through this, and the detail, look how crisp that is. The detail that came through that, I'm really happy with. And it really didn't take that many passes or that much time. My settings are on screen as well. And then what I did is I tried to do that same sponsored logo that you saw. And here you see what that looks like. Now, depending on the type of rock, and it's kind of hard to really say what the finish is going to be for a rock because of the different minerals that you're going to find in a rock. This one right here, you could see how I carved everything else nicely. I could actually let this run longer. And this was just a pure engrave. If I did a depth map, if I did one of those depth maps, then what I would get is more of an embossing, right? So a 3D mapping. I could have converted that to this, and probably this would even look even better. But I just wanted to show you how clean that engrave is coming from this machine. And again, rocks you could do too. Memorial rocks, really, really popular as well. And it's something that you can do with this. So it's not just about metal, it's also about these type of products as well.
So guys, that wraps up our review. Make sure you check out this product. If you want to make something Commarker today, this is the one to get if you want to work with metal. See you in the next video.